We will make life more affordable. We will continue to fight climate change. We will get guns off our streets, and we will keep investing in Canadians.
For a very long time, Canada has been regarded as a shining example of opportunity and wealth due to its magnificent landscapes, multicultural society, and well-known quality of life. People from every corner of the world have been drawn to it because of its attraction as a land of vast resources and a safe sanctuary for immigrants living in America. On the other hand, underneath this seeming flawlessness lurks a developing problem that poses a threat to the very foundation of Canadian civilization. For example, according to a report by Bloomberg, many Ukrainian refugees who fled the war for a new life in Canada are choosing to return to their war-torn homeland due to the high cost of living in Canada. This news is raising alarms for Canadian officials as it highlights the tough economic realities facing many newcomers. Canadians are facing a wide variety of problems, including an unparalleled housing crisis, high living prices, controlled businesses, immigration crisis, and a healthcare system that is in decline. There is a complicated network of difficulties that have damaged the formerly idyllic view of Canada. And when we look more into these pressing concerns, we see that these challenges have eroded the perception. Phone bills, rents, used cars, gas bills, all are far more expensive than anywhere else in the world. I feel I have done more research than the entire Canadian government, and after seeing all these problems, not moving to Canada was the best decision in my life. The housing issue in Canada is a phantom that comes to haunt the dreams of a great number of Canadians.
And clean and reasonable, I think, are the biggest challenges. Yeah, having affordable food and affordable living situations.
Obviously, our economy is trash, and I just feel like there's such a disconnect, and I feel like unity really needs to be taken into consideration.
During the course of the last 10 years, the value of the typical home in Canada has increased by more than 100%, making it impossible for an increasing number of individuals to own a home of their own. Even the cost of a housing permit in Canada costs as much as a brand new flat in Florida. While paying high prices of acquiring a home, inhabitants of places such as Toronto and Vancouver are spending extravagant sums of their income on rent. This is because the demand for housing is significantly higher than the supply. The national average house price in Canada reached a record high of $833,900 in March 2024, which is ridiculous. The failure of local city governments to appropriately address the scarcity of housing stock is the core cause of this issue. To avoid upsetting the people who are already homeowners, policymakers have been resistant to steps that would boost the supply of homes, which has made the affordability situation even worse. Housing costs have further increased as a result of Canada's desirability as an investment destination for purchasers from other countries. As a result, the idea of homeownership has become a distant daydream for many people in Canada. To every Canadian who could move to the United States, don't hesitate for a single moment and just do it. Another huge problem is Canada is the lack of competition. You can open a horrible restaurant chain like Cactus Club in Vancouver, or a terrible coffee chain like Blends, and still be a multi-million-dollar corporation. I am sorry if I am harsh, but it is my experience and I would be honest with you. Being so low in quality, people still pay insane prices to go to these places. For example, in major cities like Istanbul, London, and New York, etc., you pay crazy prices, but you are also eating at the best of the best in the world. However, the level of mediocrity is insane in Canada that charge insane prices. According to the World Bank, Canada ranks 21st out of 38 countries in terms of ease of doing business. As a result of a government strategy that is designed to shield domestic businesses from exposure to global competition, the economy of Canada is controlled by a small number of extremely large enterprises. This method may have been taken with the best of intentions, yet the unforeseen effects have been extremely detrimental. Few big companies control important areas of the economy, such as banking and telecommunications, which leads to increased pricing and a reduction in the amount of competition. Estimates suggest that these regulations cost Canadian businesses $10,000 per employee annually, which is alarming. Despite the fact that Canadian businesses are having a difficult time competing on the international stage, consumers are paying more for necessary goods and services. A cycle of stagnation and dependence on a limited number of corporate leaders has been perpetuated as a result of this concentration of economic power, which has created a barrier to entry for smaller enterprises and made innovation more difficult to achieve. Contrary to what most people believe, the cost of living in Canada is out of reach for a significant number of its citizens. When it comes to vital products and services, Canadians pay a higher price than their counterparts in other industrialized countries.
Our interest rates are very high, housing is very unaffordable for many people, and we need to take a very careful look as a Canadian society.
This includes everything from groceries to healthcare. There is a persistent increase in the cost of living, which is surpassing wage growth and putting pressure on household budgets. For example, the normal cost of groceries for a family of 4 is more than 1,000 Canadian dollars, which is insane. The notion that Canada is an affordable country has been debunked, and as a result, a significant number of Canadians are having trouble making ends meet. In addition, the problem is made worse by the absence of well-paid white-collar positions, which places educated professionals in a position where they must contend with low and restricted chances for promotion. The healthcare system in Canada was once the envy of the rest of the world. However, it is currently in a state of crisis. As a result of the fact that lengthy wait times, overcrowded emergency departments, and a lack of medical experts have become the norm.
Of patients that were, in this hallway or in this situation was overwhelming.
There's a shortage of physicians in Canada. A research ranks the country 28th out of 30 for doctors per capita. This can make it difficult to find a family doctor and contribute to longer wait times. As a result, according to a survey, between 25,000 and 63,000 Canadian women may have died due to wait times for procedures. There are broader worries about the quality of government and public services in Canada, and the erosion of public trust in the healthcare system is a reflection of those issues. In spite of the fact that the expense of healthcare is continuing to climb, many Canadians continue to have difficulty gaining access to adequate medical treatment, which further exacerbates their sense of disillusionment with the Canadian dream. A 2024 Angus Reid Institute survey showed less than half of Canadians felt their province was handling healthcare well. In Canada, jobs are tough to find these days. Even for basic positions that pay minimum wage, there seems to be way more people looking for work than there are jobs available. Applying online gets you nowhere, and going in person doesn't seem to help much either. It's frustrating because everywhere you look, stores and restaurants have signs saying they need help, but nobody seems to be getting hired. For example, if you apply to 100 jobs, chances of getting an interview call are from only 4 or 5 places. In Canada, the weather can get really tough, sometimes hitting minus 40 degrees Celsius. That's even colder than your freezer. Snowstorms blanket entire cities, making it hard to go outside. For example, in 2004, the small town of Salista in British Columbia got buried under a whopping 205 centimeters of snow in just one day. That's taller than a basketball player. Who would like to live in a place like this? Obviously not. The burden of taxation in Canada has reached levels that are not sustainable, particularly for those who make a high income. The amount of money that individuals are able to keep for themselves is decreasing as a result of tax rates that are higher than 50% and additional taxes placed on luxury items. As a result of this punishing tax policy, wealth growth is discouraged, and wealthy Canadians are driven to seek sanctuary in tax-friendly jurisdictions such as Mexico, Dubai, and various European countries. In spite of the fact that immigration continues to be an essential component of Canada's identity, the process of integration is riddled with difficulties. Language limitations, difficulties in obtaining credential recognition, and the need to acclimate to a new culture are all significant challenges that immigrants face when attempting to establish a new life in Canada. Furthermore, the promise of economic opportunity frequently fails to materialize, as a significant number of immigrants have difficulty securing meaningful job that is well compensated for their talents and qualifications. There is a growing number of skilled immigrants who opt to leave Canada in search of better opportunities elsewhere, despite the best efforts that Canada has made to attract and keep qualified immigrants. In Canada, where the promise of opportunity is in conflict with the harsh realities of integration and economic hardship. The reputation of Canada as a safe country is coming under attack as the country's crime rates continue to rise to levels that have never been seen before. A tsunami of deaths from addiction and overdoses has been released as a result of the fentanyl epidemic, while the prevalence of homelessness and random acts of violence has grown distressingly widespread because of the issue. Citizens have been left feeling vulnerable as a result of the failure of authorities to put a stop to these disturbing developments, which has resulted in a loss of public trust. Dubai, Singapore, and Switzerland are some of the alternative places that provide a reprieve from the increasing crime epidemic in Canada. These destinations offer a safer atmosphere for people and families alike. The culture of conformity and risk aversion that exists in Canada is a barrier to innovation and entrepreneurial by nature. Instead of encouraging individuals to pursue their full potential, the prevalent idea of 9 to 5 and retire encourages complacency rather than desire, which discourages individuals from doing so. On the other hand, many dynamic towns such as Dubai cultivate a culture of innovation and ambition, which draws in visionaries and disruptors from all over the world. The once idealistic image of Canada as a modern-day utopia is gradually disintegrating as a result of the fact that Canadians are confronted with a multitude of urgent concerns that endanger both their quality of life and future economic growth. A deeper sense of worry about the way their country is heading is reflected in the disillusionment that many Canadians are feeling. This disillusionment stems from the housing crisis and the degradation of public services. As Canada struggles to tackle these difficult problems, there has never been a more pressing need for bold and immediate action than there is right now. Taking action to address the fundamental factors that contribute to dissatisfaction and inequality is the only way for Canada to recover its position as a shining example of opportunity and prosperity for all those who call it home. Thanks for watching our deep dive into the pressing issues facing Canada today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking videos.